Imagine this. You are sitting in a dark room. There are many people around you. They are quiet. They are waiting. Suddenly, a man walks onto the screen. He does not speak. He wears a small hat. He has a small mustache. He walks in a funny way. His shoes are too big. His pants are too loose. The people in the room start to laugh. But then, the man falls down. He looks sad. He looks lonely. Now, people do not laugh. They feel sorry for him. They feel his pain. This man was Charlie Chaplin. He was the most famous person in the world, but his life was not easy. It was very hard. Today, we will walk through his life together. As you listen, notice the new words. Listen to the rhythm of the sentences. This story helps you improve your listening skills. But more than that, this story is about hope. It is about courage. It is about never giving up. Charlie Chaplin was born a long time ago. He was born in London, England. The year was 1889. London was a big city. It was full of smoke and noise. But for Charlie, it was also a place of cold and hunger. Are you ready to begin? Take a deep breath. Let's go back in time. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Laughed Through Tears. Picture this moment. It is a cold night in London. A small boy is standing on the street. His name is Charlie. He is only 5 years old. He's wearing a thin jacket. The wind is cold. It goes through his clothes. He shivers. He is very hungry. Charlie did not live in a big house. He did not have a warm bed. He lived in a small room with his mother and his brother. His brother's name was Sidney. They were a small family. Their father was not there. He left them when Charlie was very young. Their father was a singer. He drank too much alcohol. He did not take care of his family. So, it was just Charlie, Sidney, and their mother. Her name was Hannah. Hannah was a singer too. She worked in music halls. A music hall is like a theatre. People go there to watch shows. They eat food and drink wine. They watch singers and dancers. Hannah tried to work hard. She wanted to buy food for her boys. She wanted to keep them warm. But life was difficult for poor people in London. Money was hard to find. Sometimes there was no food in the house. Charlie remembered these days clearly. He remembered the feeling of an empty stomach. It hurt. It felt like a hole inside him. One night, Hannah took Charlie to her work. She needed to sing on the stage. Charlie waited behind the curtain. He watched the people in the audience. They were loud. They were happy. They had money. They had warm clothes. Charlie felt very small. Hannah went on the stage. She started to sing. But suddenly, her voice broke. It became weak. The people in the audience did not like it. They started to make noise. They booed. They threw things on the stage. Hannah was scared. She was embarrassed. She walked off the stage. She cried. Charlie was only 5 years old, but he knew what to do. He walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. The people were quiet. They looked at the small boy. Charlie began to sing. He sang a song everyone knew. He danced a little bit. He made funny faces. The people started to laugh. They liked him. They threw money onto the stage. Charlie picked up the money. He gave it to his mother. He said, "Look, Mother, we have money now." This was the first time Charlie performed. He did not know it then, but this was the start of his life. He learned something important that night. He learned that he could make people happy. He learned that laughter was powerful. Even when life was sad, he could bring joy. But after that night, things got worse. Hannah became sick. She could not work anymore. Her mind was not well. She was very stressed. She was very poor. The family had no money. They had no home. Charlie and Sidney had to go to a workhouse. A workhouse was a place for poor people. It was not a nice place. It was cold and strict. The boys had to wear uniform clothes. The food was not good. It was just soup and bread. They were separated from their mother. This was very hard for Charlie. He missed his mother every day. He felt alone. He felt afraid. But he did not cry all the time. He watched the people around him. He watched how they walked. He watched how they talked. He saw a man with a limp. He saw a man with a funny hat. He saw a man who was angry. He stored these pictures in his mind. Later, Charlie said that this time was important. He said, "I had to know everything. I had to feel everything." His pain became his art. His sadness became his comedy. As you listen to this story, think about your own life. Have you ever felt alone? Have you ever felt afraid? Charlie felt this too. He was just a boy. But he had a dream. He wanted to be on the stage. He wanted to be someone. After some time, Charlie left the workhouse. He went to live with his father. But his father was still not a good parent. He was still drinking. Charlie did not stay there long. He went back to his mother. Then he started to work. He was only 9 years old. He worked in a shop. He sold toys. He worked in a doctor's office. He made glass bottles. These jobs were hard. They were boring. Charlie did not like them. He wanted to act. He wanted to perform. He joined a group of boy dancers. They traveled around England. They danced on stage. Charlie was good at this. He was natural. He knew how to move his body. He knew how to make people look at him. When he was a teenager, he got a bigger job. He joined a famous comedy group. The man in charge was named Fred Carno. Charlie was one of many actors, but Charlie was special. He worked harder than everyone else. He stayed late. He practiced his moves. He watched the other actors. He learned from them. Fred Carno saw Charlie's talent. He said Charlie was the best actor in the group. He sent Charlie to America. This was a big chance. It was 1910. Charlie was 21 years old. He was going to a new country. He was going to a new world. He left London. He left his mother behind. He promised to send money to her. He promised to be successful. He got on a big ship. The ship crossed the Atlantic Ocean. The water was dark and deep. Charlie stood on the deck. He looked at the horizon. He did not know what would happen. He only knew he had to try. This part of his life teaches us something. Sometimes we must leave our comfort zone. We must go to new places. We must face the unknown. Charlie was poor. He was unknown. But he had courage. He had a gift, and he was ready to use it. Chapter 2. Alone in a Big, Cold World. Charlie arrived in America. The country was big. The cities were loud. New York was full of energy. But Charlie felt small. He was part of a touring group. They traveled from city to city. They performed in different theaters. Life on the road was hard. They slept in different hotels. They ate in different restaurants. Charlie was still very quiet. He did not talk much. He watched people. He watched how Americans walked. He watched how they talked. He saw that Americans moved faster than English people. They were more energetic. He took notes in his mind. He remembered these things for later. But during this tour, he was not a star. He was just one of the actors. He played small roles. He waited for his chance. After the tour, he went back to England. He worked for Fred Carno again. But he wanted to go back to America. He felt that his future was there. In 1913, he got another chance. He went back to the United States. This time, something changed. A man saw Charlie perform. The man worked for a movie company. The company was called Keystone Studios. They made short comedy films. These films were silent. There was no sound in the movies. People only saw pictures. The man offered Charlie a job. He said, "Come work for us. Make movies." Charlie thought about it. He was a stage actor. He did not know about movies. Movies were new. Many actors thought movies were not real art. They thought theatre was better. But Charlie needed money. He needed to support his mother. So, he said yes. He signed a contract. He started working in Los Angeles. This city would become his home. It was called Hollywood. At first, it was difficult. Charlie did not like the way they made films. The directors told him what to do. They said, "Stand here, move there, be funny." But Charlie had his own ideas. He wanted to control his actions. He wanted to create his own jokes. The directors did not listen. They thought Charlie was too slow. They thought he was too serious. Charlie felt frustrated. He felt like he was wasting his time. He felt uncertain about starting in a new world. But Charlie did not quit. He kept working. He made many short films. In these films, he tried different characters. He was a drunk man. He was a rich man. He was a thief. He was a doctor. He tried many faces. But none of them were perfect. He was looking for something special. He was looking for a character that people would love. During this time, he lived in a small hotel. He was alone. He missed his family. He missed his brother Sidney. Sidney came to America later to help him. Sidney became his manager. He helped Charlie with business. This was good for Charlie. Charlie was an artist. He did not like business. Sidney handled the money and the contracts. Charlie spent his days at the studio. He spent his nights thinking. He thought about the people he saw in London. He thought about the poor people. He thought about rich people. He wanted to make a character that represented the little man, the man who struggles but never gives up. One day, he went to the dressing room. He needed to get ready for a film. He was in a hurry. He did not have time to think carefully. He grabbed some clothes from a box. He put on a pair of big pants. They were loose around his legs. He put on a tight coat. It was small on his body. He put on big shoes. They were uncomfortable. He needed a hat. He found a small bowler hat. It sat on top of his head. He needed a mustache. He drew a small square on his lip. It looked funny. It looked like a toothbrush. He took a bamboo cane. He held it in his hand. He looked in the mirror. He saw a stranger. But he also saw himself. He saw the poor boy from London. He saw the man who tries to be dignified but fails. He saw the man who wants to be a gentleman but has no money. He walked out of the room. He walked with a special step. He turned his feet out. He waddled like a penguin. The other actors saw him. They started to laugh. They liked him immediately. This was the beginning of the Tramp. This character did not have a name. People just called him the Tramp. He was homeless. He was poor. But he had hope. He was kind. He always tried to do the right thing. Even when the world was cruel to him, he was gentle. This moment was a turning point. But Charlie did not know how big it would become. He just knew it felt right. As you listen, notice how one small decision can change everything. Charlie chose those clothes by accident, but he made them into a symbol. He started making films with this character. The films were short. They were only 10 minutes long, but people loved them. They laughed at his jokes. They cried when he was sad. Charlie became popular very quickly. The studio saw this. They gave him more money. They gave him more control. But Charlie wanted more. He wanted to make longer films. He wanted to tell deeper stories. The studio said no. They said, short films are better. People do not want to watch long movies. Charlie disagreed. He believed in his vision. He believed that people wanted emotion. They wanted more than just slapstick comedy. Slapstick is physical comedy. It is hitting and falling. Charlie wanted heart. So, he left Keystone Studios. He moved to another company, then another. Each time, he got more freedom. Each time, he made more money. He was becoming rich. He was becoming famous. But with fame came problems. People watched him everywhere. He could not walk on the street. Fans surrounded him. They wanted his autograph. They wanted to touch him. Charlie was a private person. He did not like this attention. He felt trapped. He also had trouble in his personal life. He got married. But the marriage did not work. He got married again. It also failed. He had many children. He loved them. But his work was very demanding. He spent all his time at the studio. He was often away from his family. This is a common struggle for successful people. They gain the world, but they lose time with loved ones. Charlie felt this pain. He carried this pain into his movies. His movies became more serious. They were still funny, but they had sadness too. Think about this. Success is not just about money. It is about balance. It is about happiness. Charlie had money. He had fame. But he was often lonely. He sought love, but it was hard to find. Despite this, he kept working. He kept creating. He did not let his personal problems stop his art. He used his feelings to make better movies. He turned his pain into something beautiful. This is a powerful lesson. When you hurt, you can create. When you are sad, you can write, you can paint, you can build. Charlie was building an empire, but he wanted to own it. He did not want to work for other people anymore. He wanted to be his own boss. He wanted to share the profits with his friends. He talked to other famous stars. They felt the same way. They wanted control. Together, they made a plan. It was a risky plan. If it failed, they would lose everything. But Charlie was not afraid of risk. He had survived the workhouse. He had survived poverty. He could survive business failure. This led to the next big chapter of his life. He was ready to become a king of the industry. He was ready to change Hollywood forever. Chapter 3. The magic costume that changed everything. The year was 1919. Charlie Chaplin was 30 years old. He was already famous, but he wanted more freedom. He joined hands with 3 other stars. They were Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith. These were the biggest names in movies. Together, they started a new company. They called it United Artists. This was a revolutionary idea. Before this, studios owned the actors. The studios decide everything. Now, the actors owned the studio. They decided what movies to make. They kept the money they earned. This was a huge risk. Many people said it would fail. They said, actors are not businessmen. They will lose their money. But Charlie believed in himself. He believed in his friends. United Artists gave Charlie complete control. He could make any movie he wanted. He could take as much time as he needed. This was important for Charlie. He was a perfectionist. He filmed scenes many times. He wanted every movement to be perfect. With this freedom, he made his first major feature film. It was called The Kid. This film was very special. It was not just a comedy. It was a drama too. In the film, the tramp finds a baby. The baby was abandoned by its mother. The tramp decides to raise the baby. They live together in a poor home. They are happy together. They play games. They work together. But then, the government tries to take the baby away. The tramp fights to keep the child. He runs from the police. He hides the baby. This story was very personal for Charlie. He remembered being a poor child. He remembered being separated from his mother. He put his own feelings into this movie. When people watched The Kid, they cried. They felt the love between the man and the boy. The Kid was a massive success. It made millions of dollars. It proved that silent films could be serious. It proved that Charlie was a genius. He was not just a clown. He was a storyteller. After The Kid, Charlie continued to make great films. He made The Gold Rush. In this movie, the tramp goes to the north to find gold. It is very cold. There is snow everywhere. He is hungry. In one famous scene, he is so hungry that he cooks his own shoe. He eats leather. He eats the laces. It is a funny scene, but it is also sad. It shows how desperate he is. People love this movie too. It is still considered one of the best comedies ever made. Charlie was now at the top of the world. He was the most recognized face on the planet. Even in remote villages, people knew the tramp. They knew his walk. They knew his hat. He was a symbol of hope. But Charlie wanted to say something more. He wanted to talk about society. He wanted to talk about how machines were changing life. He made a movie called Modern Times. In this film, the tramp works in a factory. He has to tighten bolts on a conveyor belt. The belt moves very fast. He cannot keep up. He goes crazy. The film reflected the struggles of workers during the Great Depression and the rise of industrial machines. Many people were out of work. Many people were suffering. Charlie wanted to show their struggle. He used comedy to talk about serious problems. He showed that workers were treated like machines. Modern Times was controversial. Some people did not like it. They said it was too political. They said Charlie should just make people laugh. But Charlie knew that art should mean something. He wanted to help people. He wanted to give them courage. As you listen to this part of the story, notice the vocabulary about work and success. Words like control, freedom, risk, and vision. These are important words. They describe how Charlie built his life. He did not just follow orders. He created his own path. Charlie also started using sound in his movies. For a long time, he refused. He believed silence was universal. Everyone could understand silence. Sound was only for one language. But eventually, he adapted. He made The Great Dictator. This was his first true talking picture. In this film, he played two roles. One was a Jewish barber. The other was a dictator named Adenoid Hunkel. The Dictator was a parody of Adolf Hitler. At that time, Hitler was rising to power in Germany. He was doing terrible things. Charlie used his fame to speak against hate. In the end of the movie, he gives a long speech. He does not act as the tramp. He speaks as himself. He talks about peace. He talks about kindness. He says, "You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men." This speech is famous. It is still watched today. It shows Charlie's heart. He cared about humanity. He was not just an entertainer. He was a humanist. He wanted the world to be better. But this movie caused trouble. It was 1940. The United States was not yet in the war. Some people say Charlie should not involve himself in politics. They said he was just a movie star, but Charlie felt he had a responsibility. He used his voice when others were silent. This courage cost him. It made him enemies. Powerful people did not like his message. They started to watch him closely. They looked for reasons to attack him. This led to the dark part of his story, the part where the world turned against him. Success is not a straight line. It goes up and down. Charlie was high on the mountain. But soon he would face a storm. He would face accusations. He would face exile. But through it all, he kept his dignity. He kept his art. Think about your own challenges. When you succeed, people may criticize you. When you speak up, people may disagree. This is normal. Do not let fear stop you. Charlie did not let fear stop him. He said what he believed was right. His life was a movie, but it was not always a comedy. Sometimes it was a drama. Sometimes it was a tragedy. But he always kept moving forward. He always kept walking with his cane. He always kept his head up. Chapter 4. The King of Silence and Dreams. By the 1940s, Charlie Chaplin was a legend. He had everything. He had money. He had a big house in Beverly Hills. He had a studio. He had millions of fans. But his life was becoming complicated. He was married 4 times. His relationships were often in the newspapers. People talked about his private life. They judged him. In America, there were conservative people. They did not like his politics. They did not like his relationship. They thought he was too liberal. They thought he was dangerous. Charlie felt misunderstood. He gave so much to the world. He made people laugh during hard times. He gave money to the war effort. He supported the Allies. But now, people were turning against him. He made another film called Monsieur Verdoux. In this film, he was not the tramp. He was a man who married rich women and killed them. It was a dark story. It was a satire about war. Charlie said that killing one person is a crime, but killing thousands in war is honored. People were shocked. They booed at the theater. They threw things at the screen. Charlie was hurt. He did not expect this reaction. He loved his audience. He wanted them to understand, but they were angry. Then the political pressure increased. The Cold War was starting. The United States was afraid of communism. Charlie was not a communist, but he had friends who were. The government started to investigate him. They wanted to deport him. They wanted to send him back to England. This was a painful time for Charlie. He felt like a guest in America. He lived there for 40 years. He made his life there. His children were American, but now they said he did not belong. He continued to work. He made Limelight. This movie was about an old clown. The clown is forgotten. He is washed up. He helps a young dancer. This story was very sad. It was about aging. It was about being forgotten. Charlie put his own fears into this movie. He was getting older. He wondered if people still loved him. Limelight was a great film, but it was not shown in America for a long time. Because of the political trouble, theaters were afraid to show it. Charlie was heartbroken. He decided to leave. In 1952, he took his family and went to Europe. He went to London for the premiere of Limelight. While he was on the ship, the government sent a message. They said his re-entry permit was revoked. This meant he could not come back to the United States. Charlie was exiled. He was banned from the country he called home. He was 63 years old. He had to start over again. He moved to Switzerland. He bought a large estate. It was called Manoir de Ban. It was beautiful. It had a view of the lake and the mountains. Charlie lived there with his wife, Una. Una was very young when they met, but she loved him deeply. She stayed with him through all the trouble. She gave him peace. They had 8 children together. They were a big, happy family. In Switzerland, Charlie was safe. He was away from the cameras. He was away from politics. He spent his time with his children. He walked in the garden. He wrote music. He composed scores for his old movies. He did not make many new films. He made one called A King in New York. It was about an exiled king. Again, it was about his own life. It was about being an outsider. People still criticized it. But Charlie did not care anymore. He was tired of fighting. He wanted peace. He wanted to enjoy his life. He had worked hard for 60 years. He deserved rest. He sat by the lake. He watched the sun go down. He thought about his journey, from the workhouse in London to the mansions of Hollywood. It was a long way. Even in exile, he was still famous. People still loved the tramp. Children still wore costumes for Halloween. Artists still studied his movements. His legacy was secure. He changed the art of cinema. He showed that movies could be emotional. He showed that silence could speak louder than words. In 1972, something amazing happened. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences invited him back. They wanted to give him an honorary Oscar. They wanted to say sorry. They wanted to honor his life. Charlie was 83 years old. He was frail. He walked with a cane. He went back to Hollywood. He had not been there in 20 years. When he walked onto the stage, the audience stood up. They clapped. They clapped for a long time. Charlie was surprised. He started to cry. He could not speak. He just said, "Thank you." The applause lasted for several minutes. It was one of the longest standing ovations in history. It showed that people still loved him. The anger was gone. Only the love remained. This moment was very emotional. It was closure. Charlie could die in peace. He knew he was appreciated. He knew his work mattered. As you listen to this chapter, think about the word legacy. Legacy is what you leave behind. It is not just money. It is how people remember you. Charlie's legacy is laughter. It is hope. It is kindness. He showed us that even in the worst times, we can smile. He showed us that dignity is important. Even if you have no money, you can be a gentleman. You can be kind. You can help others. Charlie's life was a roller coaster. There were high peaks and deep valleys, but he never stopped moving. He never stopped creating. He used his talent to heal the world. Chapter 5. A Long Way Home to Peace. The final years of Charlie Chaplin's life were quiet. He lived in Switzerland. He was an old man now. His hair was white. His face had many wrinkles, but his eyes were still bright. He still had a spark in them. He spent his days writing. He wrote his autobiography. He told his story in his own words. He remembered the cold nights in London. He remembered the smell of the theatre. He remembered the face of his mother. He also spent time with his many grandchildren. They loved him. To them, he was not a famous star. He was just Grandpa. He played games with them. He told them stories. He made them laugh. This made him very happy. He watched the world change. Television became popular. Movies changed. Color movies were everywhere. Sound was perfect. Charlie's silent films seemed old to some people, but to others, they were timeless. They were like poetry. Charlie knew his time was ending. He was ready. He had lived a full life. He had done more than most people dream of. He had traveled the world. He had met kings and presidents. But he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the poor boy in the workhouse. On Christmas Day, 1977, Charlie Chaplin died. He was asleep. He was 88 years old. His family was around him. He was peaceful. The world heard the news. People were sad. They felt like they had lost a friend. Newspapers wrote about him. They said he was the greatest comic artist the world has known. They said he gave us hope when we needed it most. His body was buried in Switzerland, but his spirit is everywhere. You can see him in old movies. You can see him in the way comedians act today. Many actors copy his style. They try to walk like him. They try to make faces like him. But no one was exactly like Charlie. He was unique. What can we learn from Charlie Chaplin? There are many lessons. First, never give up. Charlie was poor. He was hungry. He was alone. But he kept trying. He walked through the door of opportunity. He knocked until someone opened it. If you are struggling today, remember Charlie. Keep going. Your break might come tomorrow. Second, use your pain. Charlie did not hide his sadness. He used it. He turned his tears into laughter. If you are hurting, do not waste it. Create something. Write a story. Draw a picture. Help someone else. Your pain can be useful. Third, be kind. The tramp was always kind. He helped people who were weaker than him. He shared his food. He defended the weak. In a world that can be cruel, kindness is a superpower. Be like the tramp. Be gentle. Fourth, stay true to yourself. Charlie did not listen to the critics. He made the movies he wanted to make. He said what he believed. Do not let others tell you who to be. Follow your own path. Trust your own vision. Charlie Chaplin was more than a movie star. He was a symbol. He was a symbol of resilience. He showed us that a little man can be big. He showed us that silence can be loud. He showed us that love is the most important thing. As we finish this story, take a moment to breathe. Think about the journey we took. We went from the cold streets of London to the bright lights of Hollywood. We saw failure and success. We saw hate and love. This story helps you improve your listening skills. You heard many past tense verbs. You heard words about emotions. You heard words about life and work. Keep practicing. Listen to more stories. Your English will get better. But more importantly, your heart will get stronger. Charlie's life reminds us that we are all connected. We all struggle. We all want to be loved. We all want it to matter. When you watch an old Chaplin film, You are not just watching a movie. You are sharing a moment with humanity. You are sharing a smile with the world. So, the next time you feel sad, remember the tramp. Remember his big shoes. Remember his small hat. Remember how he walked away from the camera. He walked into the horizon. He never stopped walking. He never stopped hoping. You can do the same. Your story is not finished. You are still writing it. Every day is a new scene. Every challenge is a new plot twist. Make it a good story. Make it a story of courage. Final thoughts and a question for you. We have reached the end of Charlie Chaplin's journey, but his influence continues. His movies are still watched. His lessons are still taught. He is immortal through his art. I hope this story inspired you. I hope it helped you practice your English. Listening to stories is a great way to learn. It helps you understand context. It helps you feel the language. Now I want to ask you something. This is very important. I want you to think deeply. What is one struggle in your life right now that you will not give up on? Think about this question. Maybe it is learning English. Maybe it is a problem at work. Maybe it is a personal dream. Charlie did not give up on his dream. He faced many walls, but he climbed them. What is your wall, and how will you climb it? I want you to write your answer in the comments below. Share your struggle. Share your hope. When you write it down, it becomes real. When you share it, you are not alone. We are a community here. We support each other. Many people will watch this video, but only a few will comment. Be one of them. Your words matter. Your story matters. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video. It helps us make more stories for you. Share this with a friend who needs hope. And subscribe to the channel. We have many more stories to tell. Stories of courage. Stories of life. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this path with Charlie and with me. Keep smiling. Keep learning. Keep moving forward. Until next time, goodbye.